Hey everyone, welcome to the Doom Productions podcast. Here we talk about film and filmmaking. And if you're listening on Spotify right now, we also have a YouTube channel. We're called Doom Productions over there, surprise, surprise. And we make feature films and videos with tips and tricks on how you can make your next feature film or your first feature film. So be sure to mosey on over there after you listen to the podcast and hit subscribe and like and all that jazz. You can also listen there if you prefer. Yeah, and today we want to chat about another fan-submitted, or more specifically, Thomas-submitted question.
Yeah, if you didn't listen to our last episode, we explained how Thomas has been a longtime viewer.
Yeah.
Now he's the MVP viewer because he's sending us ideas for topics to talk about.
Yeah.
And we mentioned a long email he sent us last time of ideas of things we could discuss, and we are pulling from that email again today.
Yeah.
And it's not really, I think we're kind of, again, going a little more broad with it, I think. Or we're covering a couple different points. Do you want to read all of them, or should we just read one?
Oh, let's just jump into the first one. We'll get to that. You gotta keep listening.
Yeah.
To find out all the topics.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll read the first one. So Thomas writes, thoughts on your films outliving you and what future people think. Also about the future of YouTube filmmaking, a cool trend while YouTube is still practical or a permanent hold within filmmaking history. So that's the first thing. There's another one that we'll get to, but let's address that. So
let's to break it down into chunks. It's almost two questions in one. So thoughts on your films outliving you and what future people will think about them.
That's the goal.
Man.
I don't know about you, but I think that's the goal of every filmmaker, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that just the goal of art? Art can live on beyond its creator. And it's to express how you're feeling or your thoughts and opinions on a certain time or a certain topic. And you hope that they speak or can convey some idea or message beyond. So, it's cool that people can even do that. Yeah. And that we have the ability we have the specific art that we love, which is filmmaking. And we can do it. It's at the point where film is accessible to all people. And so it's cool that we can work on that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think we have such a little time on this earth. I think like it's a inherently human connection to try to like live. It's like your way of living forever and living on, even though that'll never happen. Like you can't live forever, but you could make an art piece that will last for thousands of years.
It's like a Horcrux, if you will.
Yeah, it's a Horcrux. Movies are Horcruxes. And the person you have to kill each time is yourself.
That's a t-shirt right there.
Yeah, I mean, with going to movies specifically, the art form has now, there are movies that exist that are 100 years old now, or over 100 years old. And they still are, you can still watch them.
Yeah. And
they're still, I'm assuming they're well preserved, because there's stuff like Nosferatu, or A Trip to the Moon, that's an early film, or like any of those film pioneers, and stuff. Like their stuff is now about 100 years old, and it's still here, and technology has gotten better. And now, that we used to have all these missing films, but now like it's digital, and it's analog and film still, and there's a huge archive. So we know how to archive and maintain films now. So I'm assuming that if you're anyone of kind of like, if you have a good body of work, or if you're a well-known figure, your movies are going to live for a while. Like, Steven Spielberg, he's never got to worry about, oh, will they forget about me in my films? No, they're going to remember him forever.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of like, it'll be interesting to see, in like 100 years, will someone discover a YouTube channel that only got like 100 views, but they're like, oh my gosh, this person was the greatest artist of the decade, of the century, and no one noticed it during their time. I mean, I think I'm really interested in that.
Yeah.
Of like people who were not known at all, but then hundreds of years later, they discover this person. It hasn't, because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And it's happened in other art forms tons of times. So it's a matter of time before it will happen within the film art.
And there's a digital. I'm assuming we'll be able to trace everything digitally. So it's like we could go back to, digital archives or whatever, and be like, oh my gosh, this person commented on this, and you'll be able to trace look at analytics and everything from those videos and whatnot.
You can trace them back to like their MySpace, and it's like this is when this Van Gogh equivalent filmmaker posted this bad meme.
Yeah, exactly.
So pure.
Well, it makes me think of now. I learned about her in a writing course in college a long time ago, but Emily Dickinson. Again, I could be totally off. The way it was explained to me was Emily Dickinson wrote all of her writings for herself. They were never intended to be shared. And then years later, I don't know who discovered them or who found them or if her sister shared them, but people got a hold of them and they're like, oh my gosh, she was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then they started publishing her stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I could be totally wrong, but I'm sure that if it hasn't happened to Emily Dickinson, I'm sure it's happened to other writers out there.
Yeah. And photographers. There's a great documentary called, I think it's Finding Vivienne Meyer.
Oh, yes.
And she was a photographer who just shot for herself, and she passed away, and all of her film was just stored in boxes in an attic, and someone found it, sold the lot, and some photographer or film scanning guy, he found it and started scanning it and was like, oh my gosh, this works incredible. And he went through this whole thing. It's a great documentary if you want to listen or watch it. But that's when I was doing photo classes back in college, we watched that. And it's really cool. And she's got great work, and there's a good Instagram account to follow where they post some of her archived work.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And I can't think, we're saying that, in a long time from now, someone from this era will be discovered who's unknown now. But what I wonder is, has a big revelation like that happened in the film medium before? That's what I want to know. Because I'm sure, we've had missing silent films, but I can't think of a case of anybody.
I can't think of a whole body of work. I know there have been like films where it's like underappreciated for decades, and then like just recently or in this modern filmmaking era, someone's like, oh my gosh, this was brilliant.
Well, I'm not even saying, I think going underappreciated might even be going too far. I'm talking about they went into some dude's attic, found out he made a movie, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant, we got to release this.
I can't think of a time. I'm not saying it hasn't happened or couldn't have happened.
To well-known artists, it's happened. Like they're like, Orson Welles never finished this movie, so we're gonna re-edit it. And
Joe Schmo down the street. I can't think of a time that's happened.
If you know of an instance, anyone listening, please let us know, because that'd be a cool story to hear about.
That's insane.
But so putting that in perspective, something that's never, as far as we know, has never happened in the film world, the film art scene or whatever, where someone who was unknown at their time was discovered to be the next genius, Van Gogh or whatever, years later. Because film is an early early art form still. It's a young art form compared to painting, compared to music, compared to all the. It's like one of the youngest art forms. Well, okay, I don't know that for sure. I would assume it's one of the younger art compared to painting and music and writing. It
things that have gone back thousands of years.
Yes, it is much younger compared to those. I'm sure there's other arts that exist now that didn't exist.
Anything digital is coming out.
But that'll be exciting, and it kind of makes I'm not one of those people who's like, oh man, I want to live for a long time, but I'm genuinely curious to know who is living today that will be looked back upon like they were a genius for their time. I really want to know, and it's some kid out there with a YouTube channel who's not getting any views,
or TikTok or something. Yeah
It's interesting to think about. But I guess in terms of Doom Productions, YouTube's not going anywhere.
No.
So our movies will always live on there.
YouTube's a juggernaut. We were having this discussion with one of our other buddies last week, I think, on just the sustainability of YouTube. Whether or not you like YouTube or you would prefer some other platform to exist, YouTube is such a juggernaut. I mean, it would take, I'm not saying it'll never disappear. I mean, people thought Rome would never fall, but, the fact that YouTube is owned by Google, one of the top companies of the world, it's very unlikely that YouTube is ever going to go, and it's a database at this point. Like even if YouTube stopped being serviced, like no, it would be such a loss. So there's no way that YouTube is ever going to go away, because YouTube is the perfect documentation of our era, going back from 2006 till present day.
It's one of those things where, I mean, look at it. I mean, yes, I think that's a great argument. The data of like just the archiving of everything. It's so big and it's owned by one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
They're not going to let it go under. But also, you could always still say the argument there could be a competitor. Yeah. And to that, I ask who?
Yeah.
How could you compete with Google?
Yeah.
How could you compete with YouTube? It is so huge by this point that, you know, if you told me, some random guy was like, hey, I'm going to start a video website to share videos and post them, and anyone can do it. It's free. I'd be like, well, why don't you just use YouTube?
Yeah.
That would be my question.
Yeah.
So they're too big to compete with. Yeah. And maybe that's a bad thing business-wise, but in terms of, you know, us as creators and making stuff, I feel pretty confident that YouTube's going to stick around.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how it's going to evolve and change. I mean, because YouTube is really like the modern television. YouTube is to like people today like what TV was 50 years ago or so.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of what will YouTube look like in 50 years? But it's never going to go away. I think the question... So this is our way of kind of segueing, but I guess we should address the question Thomas asked. He asked about the future of YouTube filmmaking. Excuse me. In his words, he writes, a cool trend while YouTube is still practical, or a permanent hold within filmmaking history. I think there's a couple of missing words in there, but
yeah, that's okay.
We're not going to hold it against you. We get what you're saying, because he's asking, is YouTube... Is it
a fad?
Is it a fad, or is it going to stick around? And I think that depends. I mean, my quick answer is no, it's not a fad.
Yeah.
I think YouTube as a business, as a company, it's going to stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's going to stick around for a long time. It's a matter of when the film industry will recognize it as a legitimate distribution platform.
Yes.
Or people within the industry. Because think back to 10, 20 years ago, or not 20 years, 10 or 15 years ago, when Netflix was doing their thing, and they started streaming, it was like, that was a new thing.
That was a big deal, though.
You know,
but it was the spot. It was the only place.
It was a spot. And it's one of those things where even still today, there are arguments among the film industry on whether or not Netflix movies should be considered for Oscars, if that's a legitimate movie or not. And so I think there's a couple different layers and sides to this discussion. I think one is, what does the industry think? Two is, what does the artist think within the industry?
And three, what does the audience watching it think?
What does the audience think? And I guess speaking of, like, you know, business-wise, you know, is it sustainable, like to make a living and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
The film industry and businesses as a whole, we've seen a weird shift in the film industry with digital streaming and media. Like pre-COVID, I think COVID really pushed for that streaming, because you have HBO Max, you have Disney Plus, you have Paramount Plus, I think.
Paramount Plus,
Paramount Plus.
Apple
TV. All of these major studios now have streaming services. And there's been arguments within each studio on whether or not, do we release the movie in theaters? Do we release it in theaters and at home at the same time? Do we release them at different times, but at like specific dates?
Or what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole industry is founded on the theatrical experience and that window of releasing and making money that way. I think anything that changes that is gonna make people uncomfortable with that change, I think.
Yeah.
Now, we're not business people. We're not insiders in Hollywood, but we know a thing or two about movies.
Yeah.
But again, we're not like well informed on this at all.
Yeah.
What I think, there's studios who will embrace that change, and there's studios that will resist that change. I think what, as a consumer, what HBO is done with like releasing Warner movies the same day as they release,
it's great.
I like that as a viewer, as an audience member. because I'll watch movies at home that I don't feel like I need to go to the theater, but I'll go see Dune in the theater. And because I had a weird experience, I want to see it again.
Yeah.
And I'm able to watch it again at home. And I don't have to shell out, $12 to see it in theaters.
It's nice. There are a lot of movies I care about seeing that my girlfriend doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. I can go see this in theater. And if I like it, I can show it to her without shelling out another movie ticket.
Yes. Or you can be like, I'm going to go to the theater. You're going to stay home and watch it. Try
Take
that one.
that.
Yeah. Try that one.
Doom Productions dating advice. This has been the official segment.
Yes. Dating advice of Doom Productions. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but like, it looks like the studios, there's some studios who are more resistant to the streaming wars and everything.
Yeah. But you can't deny that studios are, no matter what their stance is, they are all moving in that direction, just at different speeds.
Yeah.
Like, no one asked for Paramount Plus, but it exists, and Paramount's going in that direction. And I think that's interesting to show that these big studios are like, well, if we're going to have to do this, then we're going to do it our way. And I think that's still interesting to see what are the different looks and how do they approach, and how are they all trying to capture this new thing, and what's going to be the thing that actually lasts.
Yeah.
So I still think Netflix, in terms of UI, crushes it. But like, what's the next thing that's going to come out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to fall behind?
And then there's the filmmakers too, along with the studios. Some of the filmmakers are like, I make my movies for theaters. Some of the filmmakers are like, I don't care. I just want my movie to be seen. I think a lot of YouTube filmmakers feel the latter. They're like, I don't care. I just want my movie to be seen by people. We were never given the privilege of screening our movies in theaters to begin with.
No.
So to us, just getting 10 people to see our movie is an amazing, wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
And we're not beholden to just like, oh, you have to go through the system and blah, 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 blah. Do all these a bajillion, incredible steps to get your movie in theaters nationwide.
Yeah.
We can't afford to do that. We don't know. We can't do that. And so getting it on YouTube is like the next best thing for us. We just want our movie to be seen.
Yeah.
But again, you will see, I think the filmmakers, the big name filmmakers, like people like Denis Villeneuve, Nolan, David Fincher. I mean, they're all kind of on, like Zack Snyder, David Fincher, and who's that other guy? I can't think of his name. But those guys they seem to be on the pro streaming side of things. Yeah. Whereas Nolan and Denis Villeneuve, they're very more, my movies are for the theater.
It's cinema.
Yes.
Not streaming.
That's a whole nother conversation on the merits, but I think their voices, big established filmmakers, their voices are going to, that's going to affect how slow or quickly that change transition into streaming.
So those big names have weight to what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the audience members, which I think audience members are mixed, but I think a lot of them, more often than not, they like streaming at home.
They want convenience.
They want the convenience.
It's cheaper.
Yes, it's cheaper.
Unless you're Disney Plus.
Yes. But it's like, it's such a shared thing. Like for me personally, I pay for HBO Max, I pay for Shudder, but then I share that information with my family and they share their information with me. So we have like everything just between us because we're sharing passwords. And it's just very convenient. It's really nice. It's a great thing. I mean, I remember being a kid and being like stuck to the TV, and we didn't have cable. We had like the 5 big channels like NBC, ABC, CBS. We had all those, and that was it. Yep. And you had to be, so the idea that we can go online, we can choose what to watch. I love that. That's awesome. And I know I'm realizing we have gotten so far away from our original thing, but this ties into YouTube, because before YouTube can become, I guess, looked upon as a legitimate distribution thing. Yeah. The film industry has to recognize Netflix and HBO Max, and they have to recognize these streaming platforms before they can acknowledge YouTube. I think that's my prediction. Yeah, because YouTube is a streaming service. Yeah, and it's more versatile than all of the streamers, because you got fitness, you got health, you got food, you got how-to videos, you got education, you got science videos, you have memes, you have thousands of different kinds of videos living on YouTube, and everyone goes to it for a different reason.
It's a search engine. It's a streaming platform. It's everything. It's
a social media outlet, in a way, because we can connect with people on there.
Yeah.
You can do so much through YouTube, and everybody's on YouTube all the time. So I guess, depending on who you are, where we're at though, but our question is, why is that not a legitimate way to distribute your movie?
Yeah.
I get that, it used to be, any 8-year-old with a camera could record a video of a cat and then upload it. And
Yeah. And that's still a part of YouTube's DNA. It never won't be. But YouTube as a thing has evolved so far beyond that. You are getting so much legitimate, high quality content out of it. I mean, just look at channels like Doom Productions and you can see how great it is.
Nice plug.
Well, but I mean, you're getting TV quality content from so many different, other filmmakers besides us, like the Corridor Crew channels.
The guy, the Blender guy, what's his name?
Yeah. Blender Guru?
Not Blender Guru. He's the guy who does the quick tutorials.
Yeah.
The 1-minute tips. Oh, I can't remember. I'm going to look up his name because I can't remember.
But even outside of filmmaking stuff, any niche that is out there, I guarantee you there's at least one channel out there that's making stuff that could play on TV or any other platform and be at home.
Yes. It's one of those things where the quality on there, while there is still, lower quality stuff, or like people just uploading their like family home videos.
Yeah.
You're not going to get confused between a family home video and a high quality studio produced movie or show or video or whatever. You're not going to confuse the two.
No.
It's not one of those things where the idea of one, like a home video on YouTube does not negate the fact that thousands of artists still worked on a film project and it's on YouTube. That doesn't negate that. And that big production doesn't diminish the idea of a home movie being on YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of YouTube, is it's all these different things.
It's the perfect melting pot of the internet.
Yeah.
That somehow hasn't self-exploded, because I feel like every other time a platform tries to be everything, it melts.
Ian Hubert, that's his name.
Hubert. Oh man, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. He makes amazing work.
He has a beautiful. It rivals that of big Hollywood studios.
It should be a movie.
It should be in theaters, and he just released it online because he's like, well, I just want to release it on YouTube for free. What an awesome thing!
God bless that man.
I know. I love him. Ian Hubert. He's the man. Anyways, going back to our question, I guess. Is YouTube a fad, or I guess specifically, is YouTube filmmaking a fad, or will it stay?
It's going to stay.
It's going to stay. It's going to get better. And people, listen, there's a job shortage in America right now. Or not a job shortage. There is an employee shortage. People are fed up with the system and how it works.
Yeah.
People are going to get fed up with Hollywood and how Hollywood works. I mean, all right, there's strikes.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm not up to date with all that stuff, but I know there's strikes going on because of the way workers are treated. There's long hours. Sometimes you're working 16-hour days, 18-hour days. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And you're not even and if you go into that wanting to direct, how are you ever going to be able to direct?
Yeah.
That's, again, I'm not diminishing, if that's the path you want to go for it. But from an outside perspective, it seems like such a tiny, tiny chance that you'll be able to, quote unquote, make it.
I'm going to start as a PA and work my way up.
That's because in that I see years and years of hard, not inconsistent, unsteady work where you're not getting paid well. You're working long hours. It's feast or famine for years and years and years to get in the room to pitch a movie.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't guarantee you that you're going to make the movie. So you're putting all your eggs in this basket, not even to make something, but to maybe make something.
To given permission to maybe make something.
Yes.
And even if they say yes, there's still no guarantee the thing happens.
Yes, because studio meddling absolutely exists.
Yeah.
And that's the huge draw of YouTube filmmaking, is you have absolute freedom to do whatever you want. I think artists and filmmakers they know this. Mm-hmm. And when they get fed up with the system, they're going to go to YouTube. They're going to go to Netflix, let's be honest. They're going to go to streaming services where they're going to get to do whatever they want, carte blanche to, whatever. But filmmakers up and coming right now, I think they have enough savvy to know that YouTube is kind of where things are headed.
Yeah.
Because everybody's on there. It's kind of it's that Wayne Gretzky quote, which one of our friends shared. But you don't go where the puck is, you go where the puck's going to be.
Yeah.
And I know it seems like the industry and people in the industry and film industry are saying YouTube is not it. That's because they aren't looking where the puck is going to be. They're looking at where the puck is right now,
or where they want it to be.
Yes, where they want it to be right now. You know what? They're right. YouTube is not like this, thing.
Yeah.
For filmmaking right now.
Give it a
right
decade.
Now. I mean, it's growing though.
And it had, again, COVID was a huge boost in that direction. I mean, look, and this is a micro view at it, but look what happened just the folk filmmaking movement in the last year.
Yeah.
When we started, it was like a handful of people who were making movies for free online. And look, now it's like you can't keep up with the playlist.
More of them are gonna come out and start making stuff specifically for YouTube, and they're gonna get better and better.
And that's just the small niche corner on a platform that, what is it? How many hours a second are uploaded? It's insane. Like, you can't tell me there's more out there we just haven't found, or that we don't know about.
There's too much content online for us to it's going to be impossible to watch every single film or video online.
Yeah.
And like any service, like any kind of distribution platform, whatever, these people are going to get noticed eventually. And when they do, and when they realize that, wait a minute, this artist is creating for YouTube, on YouTube, not as a stepping stone, but this is where they want to stay, people are going to want to ride that train, whether it be other creators or companies or sponsors, whoever, who are like, hey, we want you to do your thing. We just want to fund it. And maybe they'll try to, get some of that money made.
But what's great is once you start in the space of having that total control, you decide what is and isn't your video.
Yeah.
When someone comes in and hands you tries to give you the apple of just let me take control, but I'll give you resources, it's so much easier to say, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like you can keep what's yours. Because if you start out in the realm of there's always going to be compromise that goes against what you're trying to make, and you just have to be okay with that, that's so much harder to eventually work out of than when you just start from the place of I'm uploading my video and this is just how it is. I think that's so much freeing for our generation that we are built in with that expectation of keeping our video how we want it.
Yeah. And I will say too, kind of looking at the other side of things, the film industry and independent filmmakers, I still think there is that bias against YouTube. It's not, they don't look at it as a legitimate source of like, you can't create for that. That's still very much a thing. Like the aspect of digital media is very much ignored in film school. Not digital media, but I guess YouTube and like Vimeo and like online distribution and stuff like that. That stuff is completely ignored when it comes to film school and how they're teaching things these days.
Yeah.
And so there's people out there who just don't look at YouTube that way. And it's one of those things where, again, I believe YouTube will stick around. I believe that people will flock to the site, and big movies are coming on YouTube for free. However, it's just a matter of how long is it going to take.
Yeah. These
are our feelings about it, but not everybody share these opinions. We're speculating that in a few years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, who knows?
Yeah.
You're going to see a wave of filmmakers who are making Hollywood, like quality-wise, in terms of technical quality, Hollywood level movies, but they're on YouTube for free. Because that's the other thing too. A big mistake I see, or maybe not mistake, I guess it's your prerogative, it's your choice. Something I see a lot of filmmakers do, indie filmmakers, is what they'll do is they'll spend a lot of time on their movie. It'll go through the festival route. Maybe it'll get a distribution deal. Likely doesn't. So they'll drop it on Amazon Prime. They'll put it behind a paywall.
Yeah.
No, this is no comment against the quality, any indie filmmakers out there, or the quality of their movies. But from an audience perspective, for me, you have to twist my arm to get me to pay to rent a Hollywood level movie. It would take a whole lot more for me to rent a movie that from someone I don't know or with people I don't know in it with like no well-known people.
Yeah.
So YouTube, whether you know it or not, you are competing with Hollywood level people. And the way you compete with those people is by dropping your stuff on there for free.
Yeah.
And not behind a paywall.
You're competing with their time. That's what you're buying or trying to compete with.
Exactly.
Are they going to spend time watching a Hollywood movie or yours?
Mm-hmm.
And even a couple dollars is going to deter a large portion.
And a lot of people, oh shoot, I had something. I forgot. What was it? Yeah, the YouTube thing. Oh shoot, I had it. I lost it. Oh no.
Oh,
where did it go?
The episode is ruined now.
I know, I've ruined it all.
We had such good momentum.
We almost had it. Oh gosh, it's gonna come to me. It's gonna come. Where is it? What were we talking about?
We were talking about paywalls and
Amazon. YouTube. I feel like we're kind of all over the place right now.
This went from the future of filmmaking to the future of streaming.
Streaming and YouTube. And I guess the point I'm trying to, I think I kind of already said it, but again, YouTube is where everything's at. It's just a matter of when will the majority of people recognize it as a place where you can put stuff. And again, if you're getting in at the ground level now, you can compete with Hollywood level stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of what you then have to do is you have to put it online. That's what people say. I remembered. So nice. Indie people or like business savvy people will tell you like, but it's not sustainable. You're not going to make any money. Or how are you going to make your money back? And that's the point.
Yeah.
You're not making your money back now. What do you have to do when you're a new business? You have to give out stuff for free. You have to invest your own money and time into it. You're not going to make a profit for a long time.
They say when I went to school, it was like they want you prepared for like 3 years of not making money.
You're not going to make money for 3. It's the same thing with YouTube filmmaking. What we're doing right now is we are building an audience. We're building a group of followers. Mm-hmm. We're establishing ourselves.
People need to care about what you're making.
They have to care about you and what you're making. And so people, when we pop on the channel, it's like, hey, it's Jordan, Ethan, and Zach, and they make movies like this. We like them. We support them. We want to follow them. You are building that audience. And what does your audience have to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
They just click subscribe and that's it.
Maybe watch a video or two.
You know how much time and money it costs to be invested in a Hollywood property? Look at my shelf. Look at my shelf. Look at all those. So, okay. Oh, I know you can't see.
For those who can't see, Jordan's freaking 4-5 copies of Justice League.
Yes.
All of his episodes of Smallville and Superman animated series.
That's hundreds of dollars right there.
Yeah.
And I calculate this. I'm not joking, people. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I spent about $1,000 on Zack Snyder's Justice League related stuff this year alone.
You got the big record set, right?
I ordered the vinyl. I'm waiting for it to ship. I'm
saw
excited.
Junkie XL post a picture recently. It looks dope.
It looks awesome.
I'm glad you bought it and I didn't have to.
And my point being, when you are a fan of these properties like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, even big directors, Chris Nolan, because if you're a fan of those guys, you're still going to go buy tickets. You're going to see an IMAX showing. It's going to be a little more expensive. You're going to buy the Blu-ray or 4K or whatever. Excuse me. You have to invest time and money into that. What we can offer is the same stuff, but for free. I mean, not the exact same stuff on a technical quality necessarily, but you get this point. To be a fan of a well-known filmmaker, it costs money. Mm-hmm. I went to go see Last Night in Soho. I didn't know anything about the movie, but I trusted Edgar Wright, so I paid a ticket to see it. That was a big level of trust. Mm-hmm. So the idea is now, if we can just give that away, prove ourselves to the average Joe online, like, hey, we're all right at what we do. Hopefully you like this stuff and they become fans of us. The idea is you build that audience, and then when it comes time to, hey, maybe support us on Patreon or support us. We're making a couple limited run DVDs, or we have a T-shirt. Yeah. Buy our T-shirt. Again, you have to look at it from that business standpoint, where it's like, of course it's not sustainable in the traditional Hollywood method, but this is this is gig economy pretty much. Yeah. This is new realms.
Yeah. You can't compare.
Yeah. It's a very different way of working. And I think, again, a lot of people are resistant to that, and they're going to try to stop you.
Which
or
is
talk
dumb
you out of
because,
it.
dang, doesn't affect them much.
Yeah, I mean...
unless it doesn't pan out for them. Sucks to suck.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and that's not... I'm saying, like... Is this... I'm trying to reel us back to the question, the future of YouTube filmmaking. Is it a fad? I mean, I guess that's our long... We gave our short answer, which is it a fad? No, it's not a fad. That was our long answer. No, I don't think it's a fad. No. It's just a matter of when people will recognize it as being a legitimate source of content and videos and streaming and everything.
Yeah. And it's already carving out its place in history.
Yeah.
Whether it's... Even if it was a flash in the pan, you couldn't tell me that YouTube influence wouldn't ripple out into other things. And it's going to keep going and keep growing, which is exciting to see. And I'm excited to see what YouTube year 50 is going to look like.
Yeah.
That's going to be a crazy cool place.
We'll be alive for that.
We will.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, statistically, we should be alive.
Imagine the first YouTuber who's been on YouTube for 100 years.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That person might very well be alive right now, already making videos.
That's exciting.
That's not 100-year-old filmmaker, but a person who's been posting videos for 100 years.
Yeah. I think of someone like Review Bra.
Yeah.
What's it? Daily Review of the Week?
Mm-hmm.
Review of the week. I mean, he's been doing a video every single week since he was a kid, right?
Yeah.
He was like I don't know how old he was, but he looked pretty young.
He's young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way
he's like our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like exciting. Like he's never going to stop.
No, he shouldn't.
Doing this.
He makes great work.
Yeah, I love it. And so is there anything more you have to say on that YouTube filmmaking thing?
I think if we had any more to say, our audience would explode.
I think we're rambling right now. That brings us to this next question that Thomas asked us, which is related, but not necessarily so specific to YouTube. He writes, future of filmmaking, ? What's next after everyone who has a cell phone can make a film?
Everyone who has an eyeball camera implants can make a film.
I think that's a good question.
Because I think what phone filmmaking gets at, it's just about the equalization of... I can't think of... What's the term?
Democratization.
Democratization. Yeah. That phrase has been escaping me, so I've been saying everything but that. The democratization of filmmaking comes from the fact that everyone carries a 1080p to 4K to 8K camera in their pocket.
Yes.
And they have the ability to edit that same footage on their phone and upload it to YouTube. So that's just... The phone is the symbol of everyone can make a movie.
Now it's like, you think... I don't know, like 10, 20 years ago, or whatever. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Painting and drawing and being an artist, that costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Because just buy some paper, buy some pencils. That's all you need.
A long time ago, that was expensive stuff. So now anyone can do it.
Yeah. And like same thing with music. Just get it. Anyone can go out and buy a guitar. And now it's all streamlined into one device where anyone can start creating, no matter who you are. Yeah. And that's an awesome thing. What's next after that? I think it's
holograms.
I think it's the quality.
Yeah.
Sure, anyone can make a film right now. Not anyone can make a good technically. Yeah. Not like artistically subjective point of view kind of thing, but on a technical level, not everyone can make a good film. Or a film that will rival Hollywood, for instance.
Yeah.
So I think the next step, I would imagine, is people being able to make Hollywood level big kind of blockbusters, but for cheap.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ian Hubert.
Yeah.
Now his stuff is very slice of life, world building, which is beautiful and it's awesome. But can you imagine him going into a studio and trying to pitch Dynamo to people? It's just world building for however long. They would be like, no, where's the action? Where's the sex scenes? Where's the humor? They wouldn't have funded that.
No.
So he's like, well, it's so great how he can just like, well, I can do Hollywood level effect, if not better than a lot of Hollywood movies. I can do it, so I'm just going to do it, and it'll be awesome. So I guess that's my answer is like, what's next is, well, now everyone with a phone is going to get amazingly good.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have work that rivals Hollywood studios. And not that every movie needs to be a big Hollywood type movie.
We're not talking even like Marvel, everyone shooting a Marvel movie. It doesn't need to be that.
It doesn't need to be, but I think
could.
people can. I think we'll get to a point where people could if they wanted to.
We've already seen, I mean, the Spider-Man fan base right now has Lotus. There's another one came out a couple of years ago from the Corridor guys. I know one of their interns made one that was pretty good.
Yep.
So there's been some great stuff and not so amazing.
But imagine that. Getting to a day where, similar to that Spider-Man, like you can, rather than be like, man, I would love to direct a Spider-Man movie, but I can't get hired by Marvel or whatever. It's like, well, screw it. I'll just put my own resources into it. I'll make it for, say, 50 grand or whatever. I don't know how much with all of that would cost, but a whole lot cheaper than a big Hollywood movie. I'll fund it myself. I'll raise the money myself. I'll make a Hollywood quality level Spider-Man film, and I will release it online for free. Like, you're going to get a lot of people doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If I could make a Superman movie without having to talk to anyone, just like do it, don't have to ask permission, I would do it.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, nor the technology is there, I think, but I'm not there.
Yeah.
And
the technology will come down to us. What's happening.
We have to grow as we grow as filmmakers. The technology will come down, and we'll meet in the middle somewhere along that way.
And you're already seeing the crazy stuff that AI has been capable of doing. I mean, just this past month, Adobe has released a bunch of really cool updates to their editing software, where you can, and it's small things now, but I can see the trajectory, and it's going to be great. Where like in Photoshop, it's like, we used to have to mask someone out to change the exposure of just a subject, and that took time. Now you click a button that selects subject, and it does it for you.
Yep.
And it's just going to keep going and going. And content-aware fill used to be just on Photoshop, and now it's in After Effects.
It's beautiful.
It's just everything is moving over, and it's able to do motion now, and it's just going to get better and better. AI is going to do some crazy stuff for filmmakers.
And so, yeah, it's great. And I guess that's our answers. Like, what's next after everyone has a phone camera? Is everyone with a phone camera is going to get really good at filmmaking?
Yeah.
And rival Hollywood. And I think that's when, in particular, you're going to start seeing people be like, oh, wait a minute, YouTube is legitimate. And I guarantee you within the next, okay, let's make a bet, a public bet here.
Oh,
you
snap.
and me.
Yeah.
I think
what are we betting on specifically?
We're betting on a A-list actor appearing in a YouTube film, a movie made for YouTube,
a feature film released for free, like how we
on
do.
YouTube.
Yes, on
not
YouTube.
Not made by a studio.
Yeah,
not like Warner Brothers dropping their movie for free on YouTube. I mean, like a YouTube filmmaker. Say Joel Haver or Dan Lotz, or just someone who makes movies online for free. Let's make bet on when that's going to happen. An A-list actor appearing in a YouTube movie. Technically, you could make the argument that happened with Zachary Levi in Video Game High School.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't there. I don't know.
I think filmmaking back then was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Technically, I mean, YouTubers have
Zachary Levi was in Video Game High School.
A-listers have well, I guess he was an A-lister at the time, too.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, I'm talking like, who's really popular right now?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Well, he said he would not want to work with.
But someone at that caliber, that's a pretty high caliber.
Who's Captain America? Chris Evans. Let's say a Chris Evans type. And
we're not cameoing. We're in the movie.
He's the main character.
Yeah.
How long do you think until an A-list actor stars in a movie, a feature film that's released for free on YouTube, made by a YouTube exclusive filmmaker? So like a filmmaker who exclusively works on YouTube. I'm going to say...
Were you saying like a year?
I'm going to say I think it'll happen within... What's today?
Today's
November, what year is it?
It's 2021. At the end of 2021.
I'll say 7 years. Within 7.
7?
No, 5 years. I'm gonna say.
I was
going to
say 6.
I'll
so
go,
we have a similar view because I was gonna say 6.
Then I'll say 4 years.
Okay.
I'll say 4 years. You say 6 years. So it gives that little buffer.
I know, because I'm like, the biggest thing I'm looking at is like, oh man, Joel Haver. He makes me nervous. He makes my bet nervous.
Yeah. Well, it's like okay, so it's 20. Let's say so 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. If it happens 2025 or sooner,
Yeah.
I win the bet.
And if it's 2027,
6 or 7.
26 or 7, I win.
What we win, I don't know.
Clout.
I guess.
The praise of everyone who listened this far into the podcast.
I know. How long do we... Okay, here's another one. How long do we get an A-lister on our stuff?
In our stuff? Who's to say we haven't already gotten an A-lister? The audience just doesn't know about it. Pranked. Gotcha. In our stuff.
Depends on... We're working on some stuff which is pretty exciting right now, which could go...
The last year has seen a big shift in how we see ourselves operating in the future, which has been really cool and very unexpected. So it's like, I'm almost scared to say it because if anything, this year has proven it's closer than I would think.
I'll go... Yeah, I'll keep the same... I'll say 4 years. I think...
4 years.
Okay, maybe not 4 years. Okay, this time, not an A-lister, but let's say like
an actor that someone would be like, oh, that guy?
Someone who people know.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows.
Not a household name.
But some, like...
You could say, hey, so-and-so from this show. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. Maybe you don't know his name.
Gosh.
I think of like actors from like NCIS. I don't know if that's too low tier.
Sorry if you're on NCIS. Not to... No, I mean, okay, let's see.
No.
Someone like... I'm trying to think of a good example of someone. Obviously, it'd have to be a younger actor because they would probably get our stuff more than an older actor.
I don't know, unless you're like Jack Black.
Oh, yeah,
Weird Al.
Jack Black gets the internet.
Yeah, no, he's
awesome on TikTok and YouTube. Who's that guy?
Oh, him.
He was in Lady Bird. Did you see Lady
I never
Bird?
saw Lady Bird.
Not Timothée Chalamet, but the guy who was like the gay kid.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to look him up. But he's in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not like an A-list actor necessarily. What's his name? Is it Lucas Hedges? This guy.
Oh, him.
Him, yeah. He's kind of our age. He's been in like a lot of big stuff, but I don't think he plays the leading role very often.
Yeah. I was thinking like even actors who've like kind of had a rise and like kind of gone down. Not that they're like out of acting, right? Like Dane DeHaan kind of actors where like they were big, but they weren't like, huge, but they like have kind of come down a little bit.
Like, okay, actually, here's a better example, but at a different time. Tom Holland before he does, no, because he wasn't even that big.
No,
he was like a C or D list actor before Spider-Man.
No, Spider-Man made him take off.
Oh shoot!
Now he's Chris Pratt level where he's in everything.
This is such a weird hypothetical because we're trying to think of celebrities.
What's obtainable?
What is obtainable?
I have no clue at this point.
Okay, we'll think of a celebrity. But comment down below if you think of a celebrity who we could foreseeably work with in the future. But okay, I think we're
bets on that.
We're thinking about maybe not A-list, but like
I think of a solid voice actor maybe who like would work with us.
Yeah. I think I'll make that bet in 4 years we will work with someone who how do you even quantify it? Who's an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Who people know, but not everyone. No. It's such
not a household
name.
It. I'm gonna.
Well, okay. Here maybe like one of the Stranger Things kids.
Oh, gotcha.
Because they're well known, but they're not in a lot of stuff except for Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it's
except for the girl who was in Godzilla.
Yes. Yeah.
Forgot her name.
Yeah, I can't
Sorry.
remember.
You, if you're the one we end up working with.
Yeah.
L.
Does that seem like a popularity?
Yeah,
because they're not, because they are a lot of people know them. Not everybody knows them, but they're only really in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So they're not in like a ton of stuff everywhere.
Yeah, except for the main kid who was also in It.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So
Dustin, though, get me Dustin.
I think within 4 years, I could see us getting some more
I'd say 5 or
well-known.
6, but yeah.
Well, I'm my bet.
saying
I'm
4.
gonna say 4.
I'm gonna say 6.
And if I win, the reward is we get an A-list, or not an A-list. we get an actor in our stuff. If you win, then we really lose. So
Yeah.
or no, wait, no, we'd still win.
We still win. It just takes longer to get there.
Oh well, I mean, not that it matters. Not that like we're trying to like star chase or anything. But
Look, hey, I'm happy to be wrong in this situation.
I think I love working with friends. I love working with local actors, and also I think it's really fun. I don't have any strong desire to work with any huge stars, just that because we're not there yet at our level.
No.
But it'd be really cool to work with like Nick Cage or something. That'd be like
that'd
be fun.
Goodness.
You know what I mean?
To have him show up on set, I would every day wake up and it'd be like I'm in a dream.
We talked about this on the live stream with Dan Lotz, but who are like a couple of actors that like you were like, oh, I would love to work with them. Like they're like your I gotta work with them.
Yeah. I mean, Nicolas Cage,
Yes,
obviously that's like
Nick
a
Cage.
shared
Yeah.
dream. Who else? Gosh, can you go first? Sorry, I gotta think.
This is what I said in the live stream too, but Steven Yeun, who was in
Mm-hmm.
Walking Dead, he's in Minari, Burning.
Yeah.
He's
dope.
He has such great leading man energy, and it's such a shame that he hasn't really been a leading man in anything.
No.
I would love to work with him. I think he's so talented. He's so good. Like he plays that average Joe, kind of like relatable, but charismatic guy at the same time.
A guy you can totally root for.
Yes, I love him. He's great. This is I love him and everything. He's someone I love to work with. On kind of a different end of spectrum, Aubrey Plaza, everything she's in, like I thought she just played the monotone kind of deadpan girl and everything, but then I saw like Legion and I started watching all of her other movies and I was like, oh my gosh, she's got a lot of range. She's really, really good and like funny but can like do like really serious and creepy, but also like funny and stuff. So I just like her, the energy she brings, which is kind of crazy, chaotic energy usually, but it's fun. I think she's really awesome.
Totally. It's so hard. I'm such a bad actor picker person. That's just, I mean, I think Matt Smith is one of those guys who every time I see him, I'm like, I need to see what role I love his energy. I was a huge Doctor Who fan back when he was running. So
you got to see Last Night in Soho.
I know I know. And I was so excited when he was on the list for Star Wars Episode 9 and so bummed that he got taken out of that movie. Because he's just such a great actor. And so I love he just has an energy that I just really love that he brings.
You also got to see Ryan Gosling's movie Lost River.
I know.
Matt Smith is the villain in that.
I know.
He's so good.
Because he can play both so well. He can play a great villain and a great hero.
He's got range. He's got really good range.
Yeah. Someone else that would be really cool, Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher, yes. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Yes.
Yeah, Ray Fisher. Incredible as Cyborg. Just a great dude.
Great human being.
To work with him would be such a pleasure.
Yeah.
I just want to workshop a character with him. Yeah. Go through that The Bell Rings experience, where you build the character with your actors. Mm-hmm. That's man, I feel like he would just be a great person to bounce ideas off and see him take the character and run with it. Cyborg is amazing. One of the best Justice League, if not the best Justice League character.
Yeah.
I think those would be my top 2.
It's a great pick. Yeah. And a little, not even a real connection other than we were in the same state, but Ray Fisher and Ray Parker?
Ray Park?
No, not Ray Park. Ray Porter. Who plays Darkseid.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get his name right. Hold on. Ray...
No, it is Ray Porter. You're right.
Yes. Ray Porter and Ray Fisher, they're theater actors. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know, in Ashland, Oregon, there is a really famous Shakespeare festival.
It's cool.
And Ray Fisher and Ray Porter, they both performed at that festival, along with Wayne T. Carr, who was going to play Jon Stewart in Justice League.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, those, I guess I didn't clarify. Ray Fisher, obviously,
was Cyborg.
Ray Porter played Darkseid. Yeah. Wayne T. Carr was gonna play Jon Stewart before the studio made Snyder cut out Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Made Snyder cut.
I know. Anyways, yeah, though yes, they were in Oregon this year. Have you been to that?
Yeah, when in 2014 was the last time I've been to the Shakespeare Festival, because that was for my dad's birthday. We went down there. Nice. It was the year after I graduated high school.
Cool. I've never been.
It's cool. Yeah. I saw. I know we saw Into the Woods, which isn't a Shakespeare play, but they do other stuff.
They do lots
Shakespeare.
Of,
They do all kinds of theater. So I saw Into the Woods, which was really big. That was right around the time the movie was coming. I think the movie came out the next year.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it was King Lear. We saw
some Shakespeare play.
Yeah, we saw two, and I can't remember off the top of my head which other one we saw.
Was it about a king?
It was about a king.
Because that's a lot of them. It doesn't narrow it down.
I know. I don't know if it was Hamlet or King Lear or
Richard
Henry. The something. I don't know. Man, it's been a long time, and I unfortunately wasn't as into it back then. I would appreciate a lot more now.
Yeah, Shakespeare's one of those guys. I need to be in a classroom setting to really appreciate what he's doing.
I love seeing theater. I can take it in and enjoy the performance. Actually, the classroom stuff I would get sick of like halfway through the term.
See, if I went to a showing, I'm opposite. I would go to a showing and be like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm tuning out. I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah, it depends on the show.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If I went to a showing or if I went to a classroom, I could be like, okay, I'm going to read the text so I can see it
and
understand it and see what he's doing with the language, which would that would hook me in a little bit. So
I can still appreciate that.
My favorite Shakespeare works are the ones that I've dissected like that. So
I'm really excited for Apple's tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah,
did you watch the trailer for it yet?
Not yet. I don't know because I trust you. Yeah. So I'm just going to see it and I'm going to avoid all the promotion.
Fair.
That's what I want to do.
Oh man, it looks good.
Yeah. Anyways, we were talking about the future of YouTube.
Wow, we're still on the same topic.
And now I don't know how we got on this tangent.
Yeah. Well, where are we? I feel like we're not even that far into this discussion. Oh, okay, we're an hour. Okay, right on.
I think, do we have any closing thoughts, I guess, on the episode today?
Do you want to hear any more of our thoughts, dear listener? You've heard a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the last thing we can say about the future of filmmaking is good things are coming.
Good things are coming.
I think we're very hopeful.
You know what's exciting too? We had this discussion last time about what does the filmmaker owe their viewer, and we briefly talked about like, well, does the audience even make the person like a successful filmmaker and all that? And I think what's cool as an audience member is we get to help more so than just giving $1, but giving like an actual support to a filmmaker, whether that just be hitting subscribe and like, or sharing a video,
or going on Patreon and supporting them that way.
You can be a part of whoever filmmaker you enjoy's journey, and I think that's a really cool way, because I could support Spielberg. I could give him $1,000 in buying his merch. He would never know my name and never care. But I think what's cool about YouTube is that there's a direct line of contact generally between the viewer and the creator. And if the creator is open to that and the viewer is open to that, there's some really cool stuff that can happen.
Yeah.
Just this year, we've been affected by that, getting to meet other great creators who are also just viewers of our stuff. And that's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
This whole podcast episode has been basically supplied by a viewer through their suggested topic. So thanks, Thomas. We appreciate you.
Well, with that, we'll end the show right there. So thank you for listening and supporting us. Go ahead and head on over to our YouTube channel. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You never know. It only takes a couple seconds out of your day, but something cool might pop up in your subscription feed one day. So thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.